Welcome back in to the On Deck Circle podcast, Winter Meetings Edition. Alex and I are here in our fuzzy flannel and cozy beverages. Your beverage of choice being a diet variety, and mine being the clear H2O variety. And we're here to talk about some baseball because finally something worth talking about has happened.
Yeah, it's been a quiet couple of weeks, and it only took, the entirety of the winter meetings and then some for some action to finally happen. And by that, we, of course, mean that Kyle Finnegan has signed a 2-year deal with the Detroit Tigers, and that's the only notable signing of this offseason so far. So we're still
I
waiting.
understand. I understand that you're a huge fan of the Drew Anderson signing. That could be one of those under the radar, fly by night things. That could be the Roki Sasaki Ollie's bargain outlet signing. That when you guys hoist the World Series trophy above your heads, we look back at this episode that we're recording the first week of December and think to ourselves, it all started here.
Can you imagine when you were a kid and you'd go out in the backyard, you'd go out in a thunderstorm with a little jar and you're trying to catch lightning in a bottle? Imagine being able to play that game with briefcases of millions of dollars in tow. And that's basically what Scott Harris has been doing for the last 3 off seasons, is trying to catch lightning in a bottle while at the same time dishing out millions of dollars in order to play that game. I told my brother yesterday. I was with him. We went to a sporting event here in the great state of Michigan, and we were talking for a little bit. I just said I could name baseball players from now until the end of the year, and I would never have gotten to Drew Anderson as a major league or any sort of baseball player.
Well, see, now what happens is he is able to be an answer for the 9 square thing that's still going on, right? I mean, that's still a thing, right?
The only problem, has he played for a major league team other than the Tigers?
The Immaculate Grid?
Yeah. Has he played for anybody? Or because I don't think the Korean League shows up a lot in the Immaculate Grid.
Well, so I hear that they're expanding that. The Immaculate Grid is going to start including KBO superstars who have now transitioned to MLB. You just never know, man. I mean, just tuck that away in your back pocket. Drew the Shrew Anderson. You know?
Yeah.
Of course, the real newsbreaker is the reason why I'm wearing this hat. Philly fans don't have a lot to rejoice in right now because unlike the Detroit Lions, we can't figure out how to beat decent teams in the National Football League. And unfortunately, about the only good thing happening in Philly right now is the fact that Kyle Schwarber's coming back to the city. And so we got 5 years, $150 million. Here's my idea, Alex. I think you and I need to reconsider our life choices. What if we went down and we were the foot therapist for a major league team just during spring training, and we asked for the league minimum? We would help players with plantar fasciitis. We'd help them, with whatever random sundry foot ailments they might be dealing, trim their toenails, do it for the league minimum of a cool, like $500,000. Would you be down to do that?
As demeaning as that sounds, I think I'll pass. However, I do have a question for you.
Not even for a cool $500,000?
There's certain things that men are not supposed to do in exchange for money. And you described about 4 of those things in that last little bit there. My question for you is, I'm glad that the Phillies are maintaining, but what are the Phillies going to do to get better this offseason?
That's a great question.
Because they're maintaining. Because Scott Harris, also famed GM of the Detroit Tigers, he highlighted the fact that the team has gone out and made moves this offseason by signing or re-signing the likes of Gleyber Torres. And Scott Harris had to be reminded, Gleyber played on the team last year. He doesn't make us better. He just maintains where we were, while at the same time, he just aged a whole year in this offseason. So what are the Phillies going to do to get better this offseason? Or do they need to get better? Or do they have enough to just kind of roll into next season? Is it just a matter of getting Zach Wheeler healthy?
Well, that you bring up a great point there. You get a full year of Jahan Duran, which we did not have last year.
The Spidey Man.
The Spidey Man himself. You get a whole year of Jose Alvarado not being an idiot. And,
When was
there's
the last
also,
time that Jose Alvarado wasn't an idiot?
that is a worthy point.
Okay.
And, I think they're going to do something to address the whole Max Kepler, Nick Castellanos vacuum in the outfield. I think if they're able to do both of those things, I think if they went out and I don't know they need to sign like a Cody Bellinger. If they brought Harrison Bader back, or if they went out and I don't know, maybe traded for like Ryan Mountcastle or something like that, that could be a pretty good deal to kind of position the Phillies to get a little better.
No. Don't go bringing up Ryan Mountcastle, because I'm going to bring up Ryan Mountcastle right now. Okay.
All right.
Go bring up Ryan Mountcastle, because the other notable signing that happened these days and hot off the presses just within the last couple hours,
Edwin Diaz, 3 years, $69 million to the Dodgers.
Yes.
What a signing.
Yes. But in addition to that, we'll get back to that in a minute.
Kyle Finnegan signing 2 years to go back to the Tigers.
As I sit here in mid-Michigan looking out on a wintry landscape, what do I see? I see a polar bear walking across the field.
Oh.
The polar bear himself must be walking from Queens all the way down I-95 to Baltimore, because that's where he's headed. Pete Alonso, $155 million deal to the Orioles.
Polar Bear Express, they say, runs from Queens to the Queen City.
They call him the Ryan Mountcastle upgrade. And so the question I have is, will Pete Alonso be able to hit it over that deep left field porch at Camden Yards?
Yeah.
We hope so.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they seem to be, okay, we're going all in. We got Pete Alonso, we got Jackson Holiday, we got Gunnar Henderson, we got the infield is solid. What do we need? We traded Grayson Rodriguez. We need a starting pitcher.
Taylor Ward.
We need Tarek Skubal in Baltimore. We need Tarek Skubal. We need Tarek Skubal today. And so what they need to do is they need to go and they need to put together a deal to go ahead, and Ryan Mountcastle can be included, along with all of their top prospects, can go and they can get themselves Tarek Skubal and go all in for this season, and the Baltimore Orioles can run roughshod over the AL East. I think that would be a great plan.
What about Tyler O'Neill? Would you guys take Tyler O'Neill for us?
I don't know about Tyler O'Neill. I've got my eye here on this Dutchman, Slater de Bruin.
No. Maybe he belongs in Michigan.
I don't know. Slater. Haven't seen a Slater so cool since Saved by the Bell. So
Heston Kjerstad?
Yeah, something like that. But I think a deal needs to get done somehow. And they're rumoring of kind of being interested in Edward Cabrera, and kind of going and what is the every couple of years the Major League Baseball goes amongst the dumpster fire sale that is the Miami Marlins, and pillages their franchise. But I say let's do it legitimately. Let's go out and let's get somebody like a Tarek Skubal in Baltimore, and let's make it happen. Let's get it done.
So this is actually the second big signing the Orioles have had. They signed Ryan Helsley.
Yeah, back into the bullpen guy. That's
2 years, $28 million. So the Orioles have been the most active, to my knowledge, during free agency.
Well, they're getting better this offseason.
On paper. Yes. On paper. Keep in mind, Pete Alonso. So first off, let's just talk about the infield potentially that the Orioles have. There was talk of Sam Basayo being their everyday first baseman, because you have Adley Rutschman at catcher. So on that face, the Pete Alonso signing doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because you're like, wait, you're you're signing someone to address a strength that you have. You have Sam Basayo and Ryan Mountcastle. Why would you not spend that money on a premier outfielder, a starter, like some other position, maybe third base, Eugenio Suarez potentially? But no, instead you go out and get Pete Alonso, good first baseman. Is he going to play first base for the Orioles? I don't know. Maybe he's going to be their everyday DH. I know they made an offer on Kyle Schwarber, as did, we need to talk about this, as did the Pittsburgh Pirates. Since when are they all in on top tier free agents? Anyway, so they miss out on him, and it's almost like Pete Alonso is the consolation prize. And you're like, okay, he's right-handed, not left-handed. He's in the prime of his career. Where are you going to put him? And now all of a sudden, does Adley Rutschman become expendable because Basayo is now going to be the catcher because Alonso plays first? So you have Rutschman and Mountcastle now available. I get what you're saying. Bring Scooble in for a year. I think it's ridiculous that they would trade for him. But, we'll see what happens. I would die if the Phillies acquired Tarek Skubal.
You'd be upset?
I would be ecstatic because we would have the top 3 left-handed pitchers in baseball.
Yeah.
Take that back. Ranger Suarez isn't a guaranteed Philly anymore. Never mind. But Christopher Sanchez, Tarek Skubal sitting 1-2 in a postseason series, you would have to feel pretty great about that.
Yeah, but they got nothing to offer for Tarek Skubal, though, because you got Dave Dombrowski up top, and Dave Dombrowski, over the course of a career, has demonstrated that investment in minor league programs is not a thing that he believes in. So it's tough, though. It's tough. But maybe we could take if Bryce Harper's washed up, maybe we could take Bryce Harper off your hands.
Bryce Harper. Maybe we'll take Spencer Torkelson for you.
Yeah, well, that would, welcome that as well. No, you made mention to Edwin Diaz, and when's this going to stop, man? Like, that's all I got to know. Like, when's this going to stop? When are the
players
Dodgers,
that want to win going to the Dodgers?
Are they they're the only franchise that's interested in winning?
Well, okay, so let's back up a little bit and let's remember what the Blue Jays have done this offseason. They went out and signed Dylan Cease.
Praise God. Thank you, Lord, that Dylan Cease is going to the Blue Jays, because...
So, you've got that. The Blue Jays have improved.
They have.
And without a doubt, what is the Dodgers' biggest problem?
Consciousness? Oh, I mean, their bullpen?
Proclivity to signing people from the eastern part of the world?
Right, exactly. Yeah. Japanese espionage? I don't know. What you tell me.
To me, I think it's their bullpen. And what have you done? Bullpen. Well, you've gone out and you've gotten probably top 5 closer in baseball.
Yeah, when he's...
Let's just be super clear.
But the World Baseball Classic has not been kind to Edwin Diaz.
That is very true.
The last time Edwin Diaz did the World Baseball Classic, he missed a whole season. So...
And I know you're probably rooting for that to happen again this year.
Well, I got no choice now because I have to anti everything the Dodgers do. I don't like playing that role. I got to be the villain here. So I feel bad. They leave me no choice.
Well, on top of that, so Dylan Cease to the Blue Jays, that's another piece that's hit. The other piece is, what a year to be a Philadelphia Phillies sports fan. You got the All-Star game, the Home Run Derby, the draft happening in the great state of Philadelphia, or in the great city of Philadelphia.
You mean the NFL draft?
You have the Field of Dreams game featuring who else but the Philadelphia Phillies. I think they might be playing the Williamsport Little League game, which I know to you is insignificant and minuscule. But still, I mean, top tier opportunities. My goodness. I think they look at that and they're like, dude, we got to bring Kyle Schwarber back.
So you can hit 50 home runs again, you think?
I don't know. I think that's an excellent question for people smarter than us and who get paid more than us to wriggle out on the interwebs. I do think one of the pieces that will be interesting is where do Kyle Tucker and Cody Bellinger go?
Is it just me, or when you look at them side by side and you watch the graphics of them, like kind of where will they go? Eventually, they just seem to look like the same player.
It's like 1 and 1A, absolutely.
You're
Yep.
just like, is there a difference here? And you yeah, I feel like they're going to play musical chairs here, and I feel like Kyle Tucker is going to end up he's going to end up with the Yankees, and Bellinger will somehow end up with the Cubs or the
Back
Mets
with the
or something.
Cubs.
Yeah, back with the Cubs. I don't know. It just seems like they just I don't know. It's hard to peg this, but one of them is going to end up in New York. Maybe either the Mets or the Yankees. That's what feels likely.
I this does not make any sense for the Phillies, but I think it would be awesome if they added Kyle Tucker. So you go Trey Turner, Bryce Harper,
The
Kyle
Phillies can't
Tucker, Kyle
handle everybody.
Schwarber. I understand that. It also doesn't make sense for their lineup because they become incredibly unbalanced from the left side. Like they become very lefty heavy. Without a doubt, their second base, Bryson Stott's left-handed, Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, Kyle Tucker would be, Brandon Marsh would be. You just end up with a really heavy left-handed lineup. But it doesn't make sense. But I would love it for a Kyle Tucker like bat to sign with the Phillies. That'd be dope. Where do you think Kyle Tucker? So you said Bellinger and Tucker one of
So
them winds up in New York.
Bellinger was with the Yankees. Tucker was with the Cubs. I think Tucker ends up with the Yankees, and Bellinger just kind of ends up with the Mets or the Cubs.
All right.
Or the Dodgers. What the
Or
heck?
let's run it back and do a reunion.
Or
The other thing we got to talk about is the trade a couple weeks ago between the Rangers and the Mets involving Brandon Nimmo and Marcus Simeon.
Yeah, that actually that was a noteworthy trade from my perspective.
Either of those guys on your fantasy roster?
Neither one. But Marcus Simeon, that makes sense for the Mets to acquire a guy like that. He's people, it gets lost. The Rangers are not that far removed from a World Series championship, and you got a guy who he's got the pedigree. He knows how to win games. He's a veteran. He seems like Juan Soto seems like at times, as great as he is, emotionally unstable. And so, kind of just a stabilizing presence on the field that does have a little bit of star power still to him. Just a solid ball player. So that makes a lot of sense for the Mets to go and acquire a guy like that. And especially because Nimmo's an outfielder, correct me if I'm wrong.
You're correct.
Which then makes sense that if you're going to go and target a guy like Tucker or Bellinger and bring him in as well, like that, you're creating space there, and then all of a sudden, to be rolling out Juan Soto. Now, obviously, Pete Alonso's gone, but to roll out Juan Soto, to roll out Marcus Simeon plus a Tucker. And again, not trying to speak this stuff into existence here, but if the Mets are if Tarek Skubal gets traded, the Mets are probably the team that acquire him. You could package Tarek Skubal and a Spencer Torkelson in some kind of a deal, and
run roughshod on all of their farm prospects.
All of a sudden, Spencer Torkelson doesn't have to be a top 3 bat in a mediocre lineup. He can be a 7 or 8 bat in a lineup that has Juan Soto and Marcus Simeon and, maybe another big bat like Bellinger or something like that. So it's like it just takes pressure off.
Yeah.
That could be a match made in heaven, but we'll see. I don't know.
Let's talk about a match made not in heaven. Before Thanksgiving, there was a press release about some new broadcasting rights for Major League Baseball. And I'm curious what your thoughts are about this. We didn't really get a chance to talk about this even off the podcast. So We're getting raw reaction from one Alex on the On Deck Circle podcast. Netflix, NBC, and ESPN. So Sunday Night Baseball shifts from ESPN to NBC, which also secured the rights to Sunday Leadoff and the Wild Card series in the postseason. Thoughts on NBC taking over Sunday Night Baseball? More Joe Davis, I suspect.
I think it's stupid.
Joe Davis and John Schmaltz.
Yeah. Wait, how would that work?
They do NBC.
They do?
Sunday Night Baseball.
So John Smoltz leaving Fox and is going to NBC?
Oh, no, you're right. It is Fox. My bad. They do Fox.
No, I don't know who they would, because NBC hasn't done. The last time I watched a game on NBC was like the 2001 World Series with the Yankees or something.
Yeah, you're right.
So I just don't. Okay. The postseason in particular in baseball has gotten better in the last 5 years, and they seem to have the system down, right? The ESPN, handles half the early postseason. TBS, TNT handles the other half of it. It switches over to Fox when you get to the ALC. They've got the system down.
Yeah.
And it just seems like it's like giving the Sunday afternoon game to Roku. Why do we gotta mess with a good thing here?
So the other piece I thought was really intriguing, Netflix is in the game now.
Well, yeah, and Netflix, they just acquired what? They acquired Paramount just now or something like that. They're acquiring, they're expanding their reach as far as just entertainment goes in general. So I don't know,
So for Major League Baseball, they are now going to air the Home Run Derby, an extra special event game set to include the Field of Dreams game and the World Baseball Classic.
Okay, so I do like that because it does increase access, and part of my complaint is when it does come to the All-Star, well, they didn't say the All-Star game, but like the All-Star game or the All-Star game festivities, you got to have the streaming package with ESPN or a cable subscription to do that. So I do like the idea that stuff might be made available in other ways so that more people can take it in. I don't know. I would encourage them to go invest in the likes of a Joe Davis and a John Smoltz. I would encourage them to do that because at the end of the day, if you get a couple duds in the booth, who's our favorite guy at ESPN? Eduardo, whatever.
Eduardo Perez.
Yeah, that could be a real snoozer. And so we gotta
Dan Deerdorf.
Yeah, let's be careful here. I don't know. It's interesting. You think through. Although I would say, oh man, how cool would this be? You think of NBC affiliates. I would love Dallas Braden from the Athletics and John Kruk from the Phillies on NBC affiliates. That would be fantastic.
It would. The color commentary would be, in your words, fire.
Yeah, no, I just okay, so you do have some teams that do have NBC affiliations for their local broadcasts, which, they might have a talent pool they could pull from. But yeah, I'm curious how it would play out, but I don't know. I just feel like we've got a pretty good thing going with baseball right now. Why mess with it? But
so the last piece of that is ESPN in this deal is incorporating the ability to purchase MLB TV through ESPN to watch favorite teams outside of their home territory. So they're incorporating that. So now MLB TV, ESPN owns the rights to that. I'm not a huge fan of that. MLB is kind of feels like they're taking their hands off the product. And I feel like, you've even seen this happen with other organizations like WWE and other organizations where they've stopped broadcasting their own things and they're doing rights and broadcasting agreements with all of these third-party things to broadcast their content. And I think what that does is it puts MLB over the hump because now ESPN and NBC and Netflix have the ability to drive the content that MLB is putting out because MLB isn't putting out its own content anymore.
Yeah, I see that.
So I think that's just something to watch, right? As we keep an eye on the integrity of the game. We got the robo ball strikes calls come into play this year. There's the Major League Baseball females league that's coming that I've seen stuff floating around about. No, don't know anything about. It looks ridiculous, but
and I mean that, and we mean that in the most gender affirming type of a way,
and in the most respectful way too.
Absolutely.
So it'll be interesting to see kind of what that shakes out for. Anyway,
does it move the needle for you that the White Sox won the lottery for the number 1 overall pick?
Rigged. You talk about the Dodgers and all of the conspiracy stuff going on there. There is a conspiracy going. Someone's got a lot of money on the White Sox winning the World Series in 2030. And there are things going on behind the scenes, subversive elements in baseball, to where things are going to align. I don't know who, but somebody's got a lot to stand. They stand to win a lot if the White Sox win the World Series in 2030. And I think we're seeing all the pieces starting to fall into place. Viewers, beware. Keep your eye on the White Sox. The dark horse sometimes rides in when everyone is looking the other direction at the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah.
So, Tarek Skubal's leaving the division end of next year. Who wins the AFC Central? Or not AFC, AL Central? That becomes wide open for the White Sox. And what's the next step after you win the division? You win the league. What's the next step after you win the league? You lose to the Dodgers in 2029 in the World Series. Shohei Ohtani's contract's up then. Boom, White Sox win 2030. Call me weird. Call me a conspiracy theorist, but that's what I see.
Quick hitting, just reaction. Is Jeff Kent a Hall of Famer? Well, he is, but is he?
Okay. If you got to go through multiple rounds of balloting after you didn't make it in from the Baseball Writers of America Association, and you're not quite to the legacy edition of the Hall, I get the reasons why he's a Hall of Famer. I just don't see him as a Hall of Famer. Like, he's hit the most home runs as a second baseman, so that's got to mean something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's interesting. You just look at his career and you just think, like, what a different time we live in, because he didn't start his career till he was 24. He got better as he went. He played till he was 40. And even in his year 40, his late 30s, he's still batting 290, 300, and, hitting 20 home runs a season. And he hit 20 home runs as the year 39 season. But it's just like he had a very, very good career. He did win an MVP. I just don't.
Did he win a World Series?
No, because he was with the Giants before the Giants made their run.
Yep.
And then he got traded to the Dodgers before the Dodgers were the Dodgers.
Maybe he should pull like a Phillip Rivers, come out of retirement, join on with the Dodgers just to get that World Series ring,
He won the MVP in 2000.
Yeah.
And he hit 33 home runs with 125 RBIs, batting .334.
Did he play for the Astros or the Giants that year?
The Giants. So, yeah, he went from the Giants to Houston. So, yeah, he came up, what was he? He was drafted by the Blue Jays.
He started out his career with the Giants, then Astros, then Dodgers.
He started with Toronto in 92, was traded to the Mets. He played with the Mets. I have no category for this. And I was watching baseball as a young kid, but like the Mets from 92 to 95. And then he went to Cleveland. For a year. And batted .265 with 3 home runs. Played 39 games. Wasn't great.
Yikes.
I think he was traded from the Mets to Cleveland, I think, as an acquisition. And then ultimately went to San Francisco, then went to Houston, then wrapped up with the Dodgers.
Nice.
So kind of a journeyman. You know, it just like I close my eyes, I see him in a Giants jersey, but it's like that's yeah, I have no recollection. I just see a good ball player. I just don't know, man. I just don't know if he's actually a Hall of Fame player. It didn't get to 2,500 hits, didn't get to 400 home runs, didn't bat
Yeah.
300, had 55 career WAR. Great
Yeah.
career.
Man.
He's the Hall of really, really good.
Exactly. To your
There's a
point,
difference. Yeah.
Hall of really, really good. Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, that was just that news broke the other day as well. What are
Well,
the
and
Angels? What are the Angels doing, man? Real quick.
they're out in the outfield.
The Angels went and got Grayson Rodriguez, and then they just they brought in Vaughn Grissom from the Red Sox.
That is the Ollie's bargain basement finds of the year, basically. And we'll see what happens. When you have a 1-year term manager with no managerial experience, you just kind of throw a bunch of tools at him and hope that something works. Yeah, we'll see what happens. What winter meetings are going to be done later today or tomorrow, and there's just all sorts of opportunities for new year, a new start. And this is probably the last time you're going to see us in this format because we're going to go through some cool changes, hopefully, between now and spring training. We'll be back. Don't worry. As the On Deck Circle podcast, maybe not.
Maybe not. We'll see.
Will we be in video? Yes. Will Alex have facial hair then? Who knows?
So, just real quick. Kurt Suzuki's message yesterday to Mike Trout.
Yeah.
We've had conversations about that we're a better team when Mike's on the field. How can we keep him on the field? How can we get better? Whatever it is with strength and conditioning, rest, whatever you want to talk about. The conversation is more talking to Mike as a person, building that relationship. We've had 2 years, which is a good head start, but just to keep building on that relationship for me and Mike is what and I'm just like, dude, I could be a manager in Major League Baseball. If you need to have long relationship building conversations to realize that the Angels are better when Mike Trout's on the field, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, give me a call. I'd love to have a 1-year deal to coach the Angels just for funsies.
There you go. There you go.
I don't have to talk to Mike Trout to realize that he's makes the Angels a better team.
It's true. Alex, I'll say this about you, man. I mean, you make this podcast a better podcast. We'll be back in the new year with a new brand, new show. Same me, same Alex. Looking forward to coming at you with some more lively baseball banter in whatever format that looks like. Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy New Year.
And until next year,
we're out of here.